or tea or what have you, please eliminate all distractions. I have kicked my dog out of the house. I have locked the door. I have notes up in my office and everything. And so I'm dedicating this hour to you, and I just want to make sure that you do the same for me so you can get the most out of it and really block out the next 60 minutes so you can get maximum value. All right, I just want to welcome everyone. It looks like, again, Heidi from Ontario, Kathy from Oklahoma. We have more Canada. All right, Stephanie from New York. Welcome, welcome. And then Tracy says, what workbook? So just to let you know, in some of the many emails that I got that you received from me, you should have received a workbook in those. So if you didn't receive it, it's not a huge deal, not a big deal. You can let me know after if you just put in workbook, please, and I'll make sure my team gets that out to you. And just make sure you have a pen and paper. It's totally fine. All right, so welcome, welcome. We're gonna get started. I have questions coming in. So for now, hold on to those questions. The ones that came in early, I will address those. I'll do my best to address those, and we're going to get started. All right, so hang on one. I just wanted to take a moment. Now I'm figuring out this amazing technology. Even though I've done this a bunch of times now, there are always some surprises. I wanted to come on just for a minute to show some appreciation and gratitude. I assume that you're all incredibly busy, and it's with deep gratitude and appreciation that you took an hour, that you're going to take an hour out of your day to spend with me. And I've seen the transformation even after 1 hour of these webinars. And I'm just so grateful that you're giving some of your time to me today. I'm just coming off of speaking at VMware and Google Ventures and a bunch of places, and the response has been overwhelming. So I wanted to share some of the content with you, and I'm so appreciative that you're here. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, let's figuring out the technology here. Bear with me. All right, here we go. So, and also one more thing, really, really quick. I'm going to be sharing about $1,200 worth of content at the end of this, and it's less about what the monetary value and more about it being able to make this content real for you. I'm also going to be giving away the slide deck to this presentation. So I want you to please stay to the end. Please remind me. And in the chat, you can say, you can let me know. And that's really important. So hang on to the end. Remind me at the end. For all of you that do remind me at the end, I will be giving the slide deck and a bunch of bonuses away. And monetarily, they're worth a lot, but they've helped a lot of people. So I want to make sure that you get those. Please, please remind me at the end. All right, so let's go. There's a lot to cover, so please hang on to your seats. I hope you had a good night's rest. I hope you are ready, because this is going to be a lot of fun. All right, so a little bit about me. I'm going to go through this really fast because I don't like to talk about myself, but if you have met me, or you know me, or you're a client of mine, go ahead and chime in. You can say, what you've learned from me. You can only say something positive. If you have anything bad to say, I want you to hold on to that. No, I'm just kidding. But if it's your first exposure to me, I want to let you know a little bit about me. My background is in applied sports psychology. I have a master's in that from the University of Southern California. I'm also a certified high performance coach. So all that means is that I help people, women in particular, and the amazing men who support them, to develop a world-class mindset so they can get clarity around what they want and deserve, and then have the mental toughness to make clear and measurable progress. And then after that, we move into developing the habits that you need to cross that finish line. So I hope that makes sense. I'm also a published author. God willing, I have a book coming out in a few weeks. And so also, by staying to the end, if you let me know, we'll put you on a VIP list to get first run copies of that. I'm a speaker. As I think I mentioned, I've spoken recently at Google Ventures, Autodesk, Pixar, Bank of America's Lead Group, VMware, and those are just a couple places here in San Francisco and Silicon Valley. And I think it was VMware, Autodesk, and Google Ventures. They broadcast it worldwide, so that was crazy. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity. I'm also the mother of 3 amazing kids who are student athletes. I used to say high school, college, but now they're all in college, and runner and lover of the great outdoors. So as I'm going along, I tend to talk really fast, and against everyone's advice to me, I put probably too much information into this hour. So be sure to raise your hand and let me know if you have any questions, and I'll do my best to address those. All right. So what can you expect today? I want to get everything all out there. If you know me, you know that I wear everything on my sleeve. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but here we go. I'm going to deliver massive value to you. As a matter of fact, my business manager, he's like shaking his head because he thinks I give away too much, but it's really important to me that I give you your most value in an hour. This is purely an informational session. That means I'm not going to sell you stuff at the end. So I wanted to be very transparent about that. What I am going to do is invite you to apply for a free, so there's no obligation from it, a free 30-minute coaching call. From that, if it makes sense and you apply and it makes sense to have that call, I do have 3 spots open for my coaching, and I'm forming 1 group for individuals and 1 group for corporate. So it's just going to be an invitation to that 30-minute, for an application to that 30-minute coaching call to see if that will serve you. And if it doesn't, and you just want to be on this call and that's the end of it, that is totally fine too. Just wanted to get that out there. And as I mentioned, there's going to be 3 huge bonuses valued at over $1,200. And again, more than the $1,200, these bonuses that I'm giving away are going to help you put into play what you're going to learn about. So that's what's most important about that. And then also, as I mentioned, I'm going to be giving away the slide deck. But please stick around and remind me, because I'm about to turn 52 and I'm forgetful. Can anyone relate to that? Starting to get a little forgetful? All right, so stick around and let me know. All right, so let's get going. Now, let's talk about the objectives. So the core objectives for today, and I want to make sure we're spot on and we hit these. So I want to help you get to your next level of clarity, because it's really so that you can start making progress, consistent progress into the direction that, and see the success that you want and deserve. Because I'll be the first to tell you that lack of clarity is the death of productivity. And it's so, so important to really start to get clear on what you want and why you care so deeply. So that's one objective of mine. The second one is to help you learn how to build confidence. Confidence is not just for the elite few. It is a learned skill that we can all learn. So I want to help you learn how to build confidence so that you believe what you want and deserve is possible. I hope that makes sense. And then also to take control. In other words, start to take control of your progress. So has anyone said, I really want that? I know I should do that. I know I'd be happy if I got that. But then you don't really do the stuff to get there. Has everyone done that? Anyone? Or is it just me? Happens to me sometimes. And it's not just for work. Stephanie, Wendy. Okay. Thank you, ladies, for being honest. Whoever did not raise your hand, well, let's just say it happens to all of us. Okay, Sabrina, thank you for putting yourself out there. Also, Tara, Lillian, good job. Thanks so much. Because you know what? We all have dreams and ambitions, and I want you to keep in mind that maybe you're crushing it in one area of your life. Like maybe you're an amazing parent, but now your kids don't need you as much, and you've been holding down or holding back in some things that are important to you. Or maybe you are crushing your career, you're an amazing parent, but you didn't move around today. And if you're not taking care of this, then your career is going to be difficult to sustain. So we're going to talk about those different buckets in your life. So who's ever said, oh, I'm going to get fit. I need to get fit. Who looked in the mirror this morning after you get out of the shower and you didn't have a lot on and go, that needs to get fit? Okay, we all do that. Okay, thank you, Heidi. Thank you, Lynn. You know what? We all have room for improvement somewhere. So we're going to talk about how you can take control of those things, not just that you should do, the things that you must do. And it's not just for you, not to be disingenuous, but there's other people that are looking up to you and that depend on you. And we're going to talk about that. Now, here's the thing. I love this quote. And it says, a fundamental lack of belief in our own value, worth, and ability to achieve consistently tempers female ambition and holds women back. Okay, that's a lot of words saying that we're getting in our own way to our highest level of ambition and joy. All right, this is what is getting in the way, and that is what we're going to address today. It's not that you're not smart enough. It's not that you're not capable enough. It's not that we all have a light in us. We all are limitless, but we're getting in our way. So let's talk about that. And I'm going to give you a statistic, but first I'm going to tell you another little short story. So I had worked about 20 years in a small consultancy. So in other words, I would work, although I'm not a therapist, all of my work is applied work. I would work with a couple people a week at a time, similar to how a therapist works. You have a few clients a week that you work with. And then what happened was about 6 years ago, I found that my family situation changed. And it was just me supporting 3 kids who were at the time in middle school and high school. I knew I had to put a roof over the head. I knew I had to feed them. I knew that they were going to go to college, and I had a choice. I had a choice to turn my passion into a real business or go back to my first career from, not to date myself, 30 years ago, and go back into investment banking where I knew that I can make the money, but I would be gone 10, 11, 12 hours a day. And that was really scary. So I had to step into that role. So I don't want you to be in a place of crisis before you take action. Okay, let's make progress now, because it's not just us. There's other people that depend on us and look up to us so we can live into our joy. All right, so we have an additional question come in. So let me just look at that real quick. How do you continue your career and overcome the close to retirement years stigma? Well, that's an interesting question, because who is putting that stigma on you? That I would first look inward, and it's very important that we start painting the picture of where we want to go and who we want to become, and not allow that stigma in. And so stay tuned, because some of these things we're going to go over are going to address that. All right, so here's a really not scary, but eye-opening fact. There's Gallup did a study, and this is for, there's many, many, many amazing women on this call. There's a couple amazing men on this call, because really this content is for you amazing women and the incredible men who support you, because we're all in this together. So for the guys that are on this call, thank you so much. I want you to everyone to pay attention to this statistic. There's an incredible amount of lost revenue, in part because women are not happy or fully engaged at work. You can also insert men as well. This number not more than doubles, but not quite doubles when you add men into this. And so what does this mean? It means that if we're not feeling purposeful, if we're not feeling acknowledged, if we're not feeling that we are contributing, if we're not happy at work, this massive amounts of money is being lost. Now, if you work for a corporation, this is incredibly significant. Incredibly significant. And keep in mind that when we're mentally tough, when we are clear, when we know what we want and we're making progress towards that means, we tend to be more happy. And what happens to revenue when we are happy? It goes up. Now, if we're working for a corporation, the cumulative effect of this is huge. If it's for us and if we're individual working for ourselves or small business, it's significant as well. So I want you to keep that in mind. And what does Dave say? Hey, Sheryl, thanks to you too. All right. Okay, thanks so much. I'm really excited. I've met Dave before. I'm so appreciative that he's here. All right, so why am I so passionate about mental toughness, you might wonder. All right, so, okay, I won't show you too many embarrassing pictures of me, but that's me. So I had in a sport of kings, I would say in a world of Maseratis, I had a Toyota. So let me explain to you what that means. I had a little Palomino quarter horse and I did equestrian show jumping, excuse me. And so this is a world where these kids were riding these syndicated 6-figure horses, and I had like a little quarter horse because I didn't, middle-class family, and I was blessed to ride, but I didn't have a nice horse. And everyone said, you're never going to do well on that. Who do you think you are? And so after 4 years of practicing and about 3,600 hours of practicing, I qualified for national events. And I won't dwell too much on this, but I got there and I was so worried about things out of my control, about the other horses and how expensive they were and how pretty the girls were and how much they had won. And what if I let my parents down and all these other things that when I was going around my course of 12 jumps, by jump 3, I forgot where I was going. And I had 2 refusals and I crossed my path. So I got disqualified, but at least I had another chance, right? And so I went in again and my dad told me, Sheryl, you just got to focus. You're capable. I was actually told that I could place in the top 5. Sound like amazing advice. But when I got to fence 10, I forgot. I went off path again and I got disqualified because I crossed my path, which in this particular sport is rounds for disqualification. And so I was capable. I put in the work, but I couldn't manage my thoughts and emotions in moments that really matter. So I want to know if anyone has ever prepared for something and then shown up and not delivered. Because it looks like Amy and Heidi and Tracy and Stephanie and Patty, Stephanie, another Stephanie and Lisa and Catherine and Sabrina, thank you so much for raising your hands. Lisa and Raina and Katie, thank you so much. Because this, granted, it was literally a millennium ago. That sounds really bad. I think I'm a fossil. But anyways, this carried early on into my career. It carried on through my schooling because why work so hard if it's just not going to pan out? Why work this hard if I'm going to fail? And so this in part was why I do what I do, because we work incredibly hard, but what we want to be able to show up. We want to be able to deliver in those moments that matter. We want to be able to believe that what we want is possible and then not just show up to the finish line, but we want to be able to cross the finish line, and we want to be able to model for others that they can do it too. We don't want to model our frustration and our doubt and our fear. Okay. This is also why, so this is a little bit more current picture. So this is when I was at this Autodesk Google Ventures panel discussion, and total transparency, I was petrified because this was a few years back. And at the time I was working with kids, 16 to 20. As a matter of fact, I just put out the course, A Teen's Guide to Mental Toughness. I was working with high school, college, world-class athletes, young people. And that gal on the left is Amy Bunzel. She's now on the CEO staff of Autodesk. She called me up and she said, Sheryl, I want you to be on this panel. It's for 50 of the most promising women in technology. And I said, absolutely not. I really, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. I know this sounds crazy now, right? Does anyone think that? Yeah, that sounds crazy. Has anyone ever turned down something because you're afraid? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Okay, thank you. Looks like Dave raised his hand. Thelma, Maria, Sabrina, Stephanie, Lynn, Leslie. Oh, Leslie, I'm so glad you're here. Thanks so much for raising your hand. Jill and Vanessa. Okay, so that's how the conversation went back and forth. And I said, Amy, thanks so much for the opportunity. But, I work with kids. I don't work with like hugely successful women. And she finally said, Sheryl, like these ladies have very complicated lives. So if your framework is good for a 16-year-old, you're perfect. And I go, okay, well, I teach this for a living. And I'm passionate about this because I use it. Because if I wasn't mentally tough, I wouldn't have showed up. And so once I decided I was all in, and let me pause there for a second, because a big difference between world-class performers and everyone else is that once they decide they're all in, they're in, right? They are in. They're going to figure out a way. There is no doubt. They deal with it and they're all in. So I said, yes, I was all in. And so I started researching these ladies. I started, it wasn't about me anymore. I started thinking about how can I deliver to them? What nugget of information can I give it to them? And I finally came up with the fact that, and I told them they're multi-sport athletes. And most women and men for that matter are multi-sport athletes. We go from our family, then we go for our work, and then we have multiple things to do in our work. Then we're like heptathletes, for God's sakes. So we're constantly having to be agile, right? And so that's what I spoke to them. And, I figured out, and after polling them and asking them questions, their biggest challenge was pitching their company, which is their baby that has their blood, sweat, tears, money, and other people's money. They have to go pitch it to venture capitalists who are typically men. And so they said sometimes they're really nervous. And sometimes they've had those conversations fail, not because their company wasn't worthy of funding, but because they failed to deliver in that moment. It'd be like has anyone ever had a moment that's very important, whether it's a conversation, an interview, you're asking someone on a date, you need to talk to your teenager about something uncomfortable. I mean, anything. There's always something. And so I spoke to that and I focused on what I had control over. And that was, just like I was telling you, like we're going to talk about here, I got very clear on what I wanted to do, what was under my control, and how I was going to serve them. Okay. I use what I teach. If I didn't, my kids use what I teach. My clients use what I teach. I'm passionate about it because I use it. And without it, after this panel discussion, and that other gal that looks like half my age, which she was a 30 under 30, which means she had built her company up to God knows what and sold it. The gal, you can't see the other one on the other side, but she was on paper. I was reading her bio. I'm like, oh God, Harvard, MBA, Yale, on and on. She was the coach to the stars, of all at San Francisco and Silicon Valley. And I'm like, as you can tell, I have on a black Diane von Furstenberg dress. So I was like, okay, well, whatever happens, I'm going to look good. And so I went in there, but I'm like, I'm going to control my energy and I'm going to control my message. And that's all that I did. And you know what? It changed the direction of my business. So now I am influencing women and there's a huge trickle down effect to their children. So boy, am I glad that I showed up that day. And I'm glad that I at least knew how to get my head on straight. And also, this is another reason why I'm passionate. This young man, he is about 5'6" and 130 pounds soaking wet. And he had a dream. Remember, I told you I work with kids for a long time, and I still have a couple because they hold a special place in my heart. When he was 11, he said, I want to be on, I want to play Division I tennis, and I want to be on the tennis team at the University of California. And, they're top 5 in the nation. Everyone said, no, you can't, no, you can't, no, you can't. All of these tournaments, when he would come home in tears. Long story short, he figured out a plan and he allowed himself to have emotion. He understood, he learned how to be resilient. He assumed what he wanted would happen. And he went back every day and proceeded, which is my favorite saying. I don't know if you can see this, but he proceeded as if every day was successful when they were massive naysayers, lots of tears, lots of it. He kept on that path. And he is now a junior at the University of California. And he's been on the tennis team. And he happens also to be my middle son. But I'm so inspired by this because we are really, really limitless. I'm so proud of him. Okay. We all have to like toot their horn a little bit. And also, I've been fortunate. I'm also passionate because I have worked with Rashma Shaujani's group, with Girls Who Code, also Kimberly Bryant's group, which is this Black Girls Code. I'm the one in the middle. And, you know, these kids who we influence, whether you have children or whether you have a niece or where you have kids or grandkids or a niece, or whether you influence in some way, you know, these kids are so important. We need to model for them what's possible because they are our future. You know, we're in a kind of a perilous state of affairs at the moment. Case, you know, not to be a little bit of a downer, but you know, the go-gooders, as Ariana Huffington says, must prevail. And so we really need to model some of these things for these kids. And this is why I am so passionate about this, because I've seen the mindset shift in these kids and their belief in what's possible, their willingness to ask for help, and seeing what confidence does for them on their journey to try new things and learn new things and raise their hand when they have an idea. All right. So let's cover the bad news first. Now, I want you to raise your hands if you're still with me. Does anyone have any more questions? Heidi, Amy, okay, awesome. Shelby, thank you. You guys are all still with me. That's good. You're not sleeping. Okay, so I'm doing my job. You can go ahead. I'm going to take at this point one more question. So let's check it out. So Carolina says, how do you block that internal negative voice that keeps you from making your confidence and taking the first step towards your dreams? Okay, well, here's the thing. I want to address that question. Great question, Carolina. So we don't block internal negative voices. They're actually very valuable, and we're going to talk about that. So I want you to stay tuned. We can actually learn to use them. So that's a great question, and we're going to address that in a second. All right, but first we got to get the bad news. Is everyone okay if we get the bad news out of the way first? Okay, let's get the bad news out of the way first. All right, hang on one sec. All right. There's a couple things that are going to instantly stop you in your tracks. One is doubt. And I had the amazing opportunity to listen to a woman by the name of Raw Goddess. That is her name. It's spelled RHIGODESS. But what she said really resonated with me because we were like seriously speaking the same language. She said, doubt is a gateway to fear. Okay, doubt will stop you in your tracks. So it's something that we need to address for sure, and we will. The second is fear of failure. Has anyone ever been like, I know this, I want this, but I'm afraid I'll mess it up? Okay, I lived that for so long. You know, you might be wondering why I gave you the story about me 100 years ago when I was riding these horses. And thank you, Thelma. Thank you, Aisha, for chiming in. I appreciate that and for your honesty. You know, that stuck with me. So if we have experienced failure, or we have had someone else discourage us or remind us of failure or question our ambitions, then this fear of failure can be very real. So we need to deal with that. And then also the other one's not believing. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the first step, because not believing that what you want is possible, let me rewind that. In order for us to start our journey, we must believe down to our DNA that what we want and deserve is possible. We must paint that picture in a very vivid and visceral way every day. Okay, and we're going to talk a little bit about how to do that. But when your thoughts start shifting towards, well, maybe I can't, or this person says that I can't, or you know, I'm too fat, or I'm broke, or I'm, you know, whatever, or I'm at this level of ambition, how can I possibly get over there? Or, you know, what have you. It's important to constantly, gently, like, what is the word I'm looking for? Usher those thoughts back, because whenever we think about something, we're talking to ourselves, and we're not going to get heavy into self-talk and dialogue. But we tend to believe what we tell ourselves over and over again. So I want you to create a trigger right now, and I would write this down because I'm going a little bit off what I plan to talk about. This is one thing that you can do to start believing that you want and deserve is absolutely possible. I want you to create a trigger. You know, I've just read the book, stay with me for a second, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. It's incredibly important that what we do with our habits matters. So we can keep our trigger and our reward the same, but we must change the thing in the middle that we do. So you might have a trigger like that doubt or not believing might be your trigger, but I want that to trigger you to a picture to start thinking about what you want. So I know in the case of Dave, he's going to be planting 1 million medicinal trees. You can post in the chat what those are. I forget the name of them. But start thinking about what would that be like? Where are they going to be? What kind of people are going to be on board with you? Who's going to help you do that? You know, what would the feeling be once it's done? Who would you celebrate with? That type of thing. All right? Start believing. And it starts with you. You don't need permission from anyone. You need to start believing. Okay? Now, you might also be able to relate. I've heard this from many, many, many women over the past weeks and months. One is I want to get, and also men, I want to get off autopilot or survival mode and feel highly purposeful. All of us are busy. I don't have any doubt that none of us, we probably don't have a whole lot of time sitting around watching, I don't know, whatever it is on TV and, you know, just doing nothing or wandering around wondering what we should do with ourselves. But we must feel more purposeful. Okay. And a lot of women yearn for feeling more purposeful in their days, not necessarily busy. So this is something that I've heard over and over again, which we're going to talk about and help address. Also, I've heard I'm tired of negative self-talk holding me back. So, okay, I'm going to swear for a second. Is anyone okay if it's just going to be some soft swearing? I got to get everyone's permission. Okay, you're okay with that? So there's something that especially women have, sometimes guys get it too, but it's called the itty bitty shitty committee. And what it does is you start thinking about the ambitions that you want. And I apologize in advance for a little bit of swearing, but that's all. And it gets in our ear and it's self-talk. Well, maybe you can't do that, or maybe you're not smart enough, or maybe you're not fit enough, or maybe you're too out of shape to go to the gym, or maybe this, maybe that. And so a lot of women are aware of it and they're sick of it, but they don't know how to change it. So we're going to talk about that. Then also I hear I like to really nail something and experience my next big win. So big does not need to mean $1 million. Big can mean having a focused conversation or a crucial conversation with a partner or with a friend, or it could mean setting your sights towards that promotion or getting in the best shape of your life or running a mile. I don't know what your next win is. Does anyone have a win that they really want to do, big or small? Okay, good. So if you want to post in the chat what that is and what's important to you, what the win is that you have your sights on right now and why it's important to you, that would be great. And also put you a step ahead because we're going to go through a worksheet on that. All right, I'm looking. Oh, obtain a master's. That's huge. All right. Oh, Dave says when he plants those trees, I'm invited to the celebration. You better do it now because that's on my to-do list is celebrate more. Decluttering my house to renovate after. All right, Tracy. So my challenge to you, Tracy, is what are you going to do this week? What are you going to do today? What are the tiny steps? And I also want to know, why do you care? Why do you care about decluttering your house? It's not just about having it look nice. Go through 3 layers of why. In other words, I want to declutter my house because it looks nice. Go through more layers. Usually we don't get to our true why, just like I want to know why Dave wants to plant 1 million trees. Really why? So start thinking about that. All right. Now, if we get this right, here's what's possible. We can create a life of clarity, of confidence, and also of control. When we have control, we tend to be most calm and most happy. That means control of our days and control over our product, what am I trying to say? Our progress. And I touched on this briefly, and I don't mean to be disingenuous, but it's not just for you. How will it affect those who matter most to you? Your partner, your kids. Because remember, whether you think you're highly influential or not, whether you think that people are watching you or not, they are. And also your colleagues and your friends. Now, I have to tell you a funny story about this slide. So the slide used to read, maybe you're not an Olympian or CEO. And then I had 2 Olympians on my last webinar and a host of CEOs. So I changed it. So maybe you are an Olympian or CEO and maybe you're not. And so the point that I want to get across is that Olympians and us, what we want to do, decluttering your house, planting the trees, having that conversation, that's our Olympics. And it's no less important to us. The CEO's vision and mission for the company is no less important than what you want to do at work. So you getting in the shape of your life, that's your Olympics. You running that mile, that's your Olympics. So let's not have the this is me and that's them syndrome, which I don't know about you. Has anyone been guilty of that? Well, they're all in shape at the gym and, I don't know, I'm packing 30 pounds, so I'm not going to do that. Or they're so accomplished at work and maybe I'm not smart enough to do what they do. Oh, I coach this for a living and sometimes I catch myself. Has anyone done that? Okay, Leslie, Tracy. Okay, thank you all. Thank you, Lillian, Aisha. Thank you for being so honest with that. I think it has happened to all of us. And maybe we're confident in one area of our life, but then we have to examine the different areas as well. So here's where I've cracked the code for so many others already. I've spoken to amazing men and women at VMware, Microsoft, all these different companies. And I really learned a lot of amazing things and I've seen the transformation for them. And that's why I am so excited to share some things with you today. Now, I wanted to share a couple testimonials first so you can start to begin to understand how mental toughness helps different people. Erin Smith is amazing. She's a CEO of her own company called the Starters Club. And for her, she was doing well at work in her company, but she had some tiny habits and tiny thoughts that were really holding her back. And that's when having that mindset shift and really believing that she could get to the next level is what helped her break out. Now, what is the result of the transformation once you gain this clarity and start taking control of your progress? You have higher levels of productivity. Remember that Gallup study? So this is directly related to this. Higher levels of productivity, creativity, and joy. And also becoming mentally tough at work, it's going to empower you to do a couple different things. To ask. In other words, ask for help, ask for that raise, ask for what you need. That's incredibly important. It's going to help you feel like you are in control of what you want and deserve. It's going to help you gain the confidence so you can make clear and measurable progress. And it's going to make you or help you wake up and feel fully charged and fully alive, like you're moving towards what you want and deserve. And also it's going to help you take control of what you know is inside that you must do. Does that make sense to everyone? Any more questions? All right, after this, I'm going to take one more question. Okay, I'm going to hold off on those for 1 second. All right, so there's 3 phases of a mindset shift. And one is clarity. So it's important to understand what you want and why you care so deeply. We've talked about that a little bit before. There's also, after clarity is confidence. We talked a little bit about this, believing that you can, down to your DNA. And that starts with what you tell yourself over and over. And also the other part is control. So in other words, taking control of consistent and deliberate progress in the near term. Now, personally, I know you can have more. And a lot of people challenge me on this and they say, well, how do you know? And I will tell you, as I've mentioned, my work is applied because I bring it to life. I get lit up and I get super excited about helping people to have the transformation. But I lean on a lot of researchers because I don't personally do the research myself. I know you can have more because the science says so. Carol Dweck's mindset, Jeff Colvin's talent is overrated, Angela Duckworth, Anders Ericsson's peak. He holds a special place in my heart. I talk to him about once a quarter. I don't know if you can see down in the bottom. I interviewed him. I know he's a genius because look at all of the papers behind him. Look at that desk. But he has spent the last over 3 decades proving that what I share is possible. He's the leading expert on expertise. So I know that you can have more because it's been proven. So what I want to know is what's important that you must make progress in the remainder of the year. Okay? Because here we are in September. If you're watching this live, I don't want you to say, okay, in December, I'm going to set my, my New Year's resolutions. I want you to get to January and go, wow, look what I did. Okay, it's really important. So I want to know, what is your Olympics right now? Now, the phase 1 that we talked about is the clarity phase, and I call it the get to know yourself phase. And there's a secret about each of these phases. And the first one is getting crystal clear. This is about clarity, getting crystal clear on what's most important to you and why is key to your personal success. And we're not going to go through this right now because we still have a decent amount of information to cover, but you should have this in your packet. If you don't have the packet, go back through your emails because it's in there. But the success builder is usually reserved for my online course, but I decided to put it in here and kind of give it to you guys because it's going to help you make progress. So what I want you to do is fill in your long-term objective, and then over to the right, and it looks like that is letter B, fill in why you care so deeply. Why is it meaningful to you? And I recommend that you ask yourself about 7 times. You'll come up with an answer. Say, well, why do I care about that? Why do I care about that? And keep going till you really get down, and then keep running through that. All right, phase 2 is the confidence phase. I call that the mindset acceleration phase. This one is so important. Now, wrap your arms around this because it's a little bit different. Now, this is really important to think about what you fear and looking it in the face and pulling it closer and asking it to stand with you and have it help you as your biggest source of confidence. So here, does anyone have anything they're fearful of? Anyone want to throw something in there? And I'll give an example. So it looks like Leslie, raise your hand. Thanks for raising your hand. All right. So if there's something you're fearful of, we tend to push it away and say, don't worry about that. It'll be fine. Well, we don't believe it. So it's really important to think about, what am I afraid of? And if it could whisper in my ear, what would it tell me to do? All right. And then, so I'm also including a how to level up worksheet. So this is going to run you through how to prepare and really how to use fear as your ally rather than have it slow you down. Okay, so what's going to happen is, first we must be aware of what we fear. We must release the fear, and then we must be very strategic about what we learn from that fear. So go ahead, look at that, fill that out. If there's something that you know you must do, but you're fearful, usually it has to do with planning for an important question or starting something new or getting to the next level of something. So this should really help with that. And then phase 3 is really the control phase, or the get off autopilot. Has anyone ever had a day where you look up, it's 5 p.m. and you're not really sure what you did, and you're not really sure too if you've made any progress to what's really meaningful? I have had those days too. Thankfully, I know how to catch myself and kind of readjust, but this is really important too. And so the control secret is committing to consistent action and improving is vital to your long-term success. So in other words, what are those little things, those little steps that you can take every day, and how can you form that, really start forming that into a habit? Now, here's what I want to know. What will you do? By when? And who will you declare it to? There's something about writing something down, blocking it into your calendar, and then verbalizing it. It's incredibly important. So I want you to start thinking about that. Please do post in here. What is the one thing you're going to do? Tiny triumphs are so important for your confidence and for your progress. So for me, it might have to do with, how many phone calls do I need to make? When all the emails start pouring in after this, I'm going to commit to getting back to everyone. I'm going to block time for that. I'm also going to, there's certain things that we have control over. So I want to know, what are the tiny things? What's one thing that you will do this week? By when? And who are you going to tell? So go ahead and feel free to put that into the chat. And this is another note from Amanda Kaufman, who is a former senior consultant at Accenture. She was saying that because of her lack of mental toughness and her being kind of a yes person, her health was suffering. And mental toughness has really helped her take control over her life at work also, and her personal wellness. It was just that mindset shift and learning some new habits. So if you can imagine, if you can not only crush, but use doubt, fear, and frustration to your advantage, that is something that mental toughness helps you do, and you absolutely can. And I thought this picture was funny. If you want to learn what this means is, I'm giving the baby away with the bathwater, so hopefully you get this. And it looks like Tara says, prioritize action items and set deadlines to get them done. That is an excellent thing to do. So I want to know when you are going to prioritize your action items and who you're going to tell that to. All right. Now, again, my businessman is sitting behind me, actually behind this computer, and he's rolling his eyes because he's like, why are you giving away your entire framework? Because it's important for you to understand that there's 7 steps to do what I'm talking about. Again, it's not reserved for the elite few. Developing confidence, moving towards your next level of ambition and joy, it's absolutely possible. And we don't have the time to run through these in detail. This is what I go through with my clients that work with me, actually for 4 months at a time, either one-on-one or in a group. But I wanted to make sure that you understand what this is. Neutralizing errors. This is really neutralizing and utilizing errors. So it's very important to understand, what do we do with errors and how can we use them to our advantage so they don't slow us down. Imagery training, it's an advanced tool that world-class athletes use to practice before you get there. So Olympians, they've been to the Olympics 1,000,000 times before they actually get there. And so this is incredibly important. So the next time you're planning for an important event, it's important to practice that before you actually get there. We've talked a little bit about dialogue or your self-talk. We believe what we tell ourselves over and over again. And you might think that there are influential people in your lives, which there absolutely are, but the person who's most influential is, guess what? Or guess who? It's us. So we have to learn how to monitor and use our internal dialogue. Emotional control. Oh my gosh, emotions drive our behavior. So it's incredibly important to learn how world-class performers use their emotions to their advantage. Focus. Does anyone have a problem with focus? Focusing on the things that really matter. I'll be the first to admit, I'm going to raise my hand. Thankfully, I have to set up structures for myself so I can do this. Noteworthy focus is vital, and world-class performers have remarkable noteworthy focus. So we talk a lot about how to do that. Setting objectives, basically just goals. There's different goals that are appropriate for different periods of time. It's incredibly important to understand the 3 main types of objectives so you can set yourself up for success. And finally, my favorite, 0 excuses. This one sounds really harsh, but it's so important. It has all to do with accountability. We must set up accountability structures for ourselves. So I hope you understand the importance of that. All right. And so that's my whole zoned in mental toughness framework. I've explained basically in a very bare bones terms what it is, what it means to be zoned in, and why it's important. But if you want to know how, then we'll probably need to have a further conversation about that. And there's a lot of different ways you can do it. But I want to ask you first, will you be, and I was going to say one of the 10,000, I had a goal of helping 10,000 women and or the awesome men who support them to be mentally tough in 2018. And you know what? I've done it. God, I can't tell you how it feels. So in one of my mastermind groups, I was challenged to add a 0 onto that. So I have. So I want to ask you if you will be one of the 100,000 people that are learning how to be mentally tough so you can fully bring your light and joy to life. Heidi says, I will be. Who else? Who else is with us? Okay, I can't do this on my own. I'm not putting greatness into the world. I'm just helping you put greatness into the world. So I hope that you're with me. So how we're going to do this, and I really believe it's time. It's just time. There's just no more time to wait. And so it's really time to bring this content to life. I hope that I have given you a couple nuggets of information. You have a couple worksheets to work on. If you stay with me another couple minutes, what we're going to do is, oh, I will. Awesome. I will. Okay, good. I'm so glad. Looks like Vanessa and Lisa and Heidi and Leslie. I am so excited because the ripple down effect is going to be so amazing. Now, what I'm inviting you to do, like I mentioned in the beginning of this, I'm inviting you to apply for a 30-minute discovery session. It's a discovery session. It's really going to be a discovery and a coaching call. There's no obligation for it. But I want to ask you to apply for it. Total transparency. I have 3 spots to work with me one-on-one that are open, and they will be filled after this event in the next 3 days. I have 1 individual group, meaning individuals, not corporate, okay, that I'm filling. They will be capped at 10. This isn't a big, giant group thing that I'm doing because I'm passionate about the transformation, and I can't see a transformation and help you if it's too big of a group. And I'm also opening 1 corporate group, which I will cap at 10. And so I'm really excited for that. So I want you to understand a couple things first. Here's what you need to know about these 30-minute sessions. They're not for everyone. If you're content with your ambitions and your progress, you're kind of in the comfortable life, and also your level of joy, they're not really for you. And that's fine. Totally fine. No judgment. I'm just saying you need to be in the mindset of, let's go. Like, I have something I want to do. What I'm doing is not working. I need some help. I need the mindset. I need the habits. Let's go. All right. Now, if you want more, but you're unwilling to put in the work, then it's not really for you either. And again, no judgment. I'm just letting you know, because if anyone that's worked with me before, in a coaching capacity, it is about, it's about compassion. It's about celebrating. I'll be your biggest cheerleader, but I'm going to challenge you too, and in an empathetic way, but you're going to get pushed. So the timing has to be right. Okay. So keep that in mind. But if you're ready to really gain the mental toughness and the mindset to take control of your progress, it's absolutely for you. And also, if you're willing to learn new world-class tips, tools, and habits to fuel that transformation that you know you want, you know you deserve, then I wholeheartedly encourage you to apply. And also, if it's your time and you're willing to put in the work, it's absolutely for you. So awesome. Looks like Trish already, wow, you already applied. Okay, wow, you are on it. Good job. Now, there's a couple comments from people who have either worked with me in a one-on-one capacity or a group, and here's what they had to say. I don't know if you're going to have time to read through these things, but a lot of times people are really interested in what other people have to say. Again, this is just an invitation. Now, stay with me because I'm giving away these bonuses at the end, and I need to know who wants the deck and who wants the bonuses and what have you. And also, I'm just asking you to please, please, please be decisive, because I only have a limited amount of time. I want to get on the phone with you for 30 minutes. Now, this is going to be an impactful 30 minutes. You're going to come away with a lot of information, things that will help you move the needle and really start to see down that transformation journey even after the 30 minutes. Please be decisive. Please go ahead and grab one of these, because there's a limit of 20. So the next steps are just to submit an application. You're going to look for an email from me within the 24 hours. Follow the instructions on the email. And if you're corporate and you're interested in a small group, and in other words, having this 30-minute discussion for this discovery session for a group at your work, then please let me know that when you apply. And here are the bonuses, the good things. Okay, I'm done talking about that. The bonuses, again, there's $1,200 of value in bonuses. And stick with me through this, because I'm going to go maybe 2 or 3 minutes over for Q&A. The first bonus is what I call my Mental Toughness Toolkit. It's like, Leslie, raise your hand. Does that mean you want the toolkit? Awesome. Now, forget that it's $1,000 value. Just forget about that. I'm giving you tools to make progress. Okay, I want to make sure, I want this content to be real for you. So I'm giving these tools away for you so you can put them into action. I'm also giving you what I call my Confidence Accelerator video series. Now, there are 4 videos, one of which I was interviewed at the end of last year on the One Thing podcast. It's Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. I was interviewed by Jeff Woods. And that was really, I don't know why or how it got so many downloads, but it was really popular. And so I want to share that with you. There's 3 other videos. I package them up and sell them for about $200. So I'm giving them to you for sticking it out with me, just of my appreciation, and it will help you gain the confidence that you need, that confidence, which is a learned skill that you can have. And finally, we're going to put you on the VIP list for my book that, again, God willing, is coming out next month, which I am so excited about. It's really a manifesto, and it's not just a book to read, but it's an action guide too. So I'm so excited about that. And like Heidi and Tara and Donna, yes, 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 thank you for chiming in. I love your enthusiasm. I'm going to answer a couple questions right now. We're almost at the top of the hour. So thank you for the 51 people. Raise your hand if you're still here. Beth and Leslie and Heidi and Wendy and Stephanie and Patty. Oh my gosh. I am like, this is so exciting. All right, let's go to the Q&A. Looks like Alina and Aisha and Odette and Tara. Thank you guys for sticking it out. You guys are awesome. Okay, so let's go to Trish. Sometimes I want to speak up, but I'm not sure how my ideas will be received. I then feel disappointed with myself, like the opportunity was lost. Oh God, has that happened to anyone? That's happened to me before. And so, especially at every next level of ambition, sometimes we get into that place. And so, please, I want to remind you, I'm getting notices that these 30-minute sessions are getting booked up, these applications. So if you haven't done that, please go to the link. I believe it is posted in the chat roll. Hopefully, if my team is doing their job, let me know if you're having trouble finding it. But when it comes to gaining the confidence, what I would do is go to that level up worksheet and work through it for your specific instance. So I would ask yourself, generally, real quick, I would ask yourself, what is it that I'm so afraid about? And actually bring it closer. So if you're afraid of being judged, like maybe someone will think your idea is stupid, okay? Or maybe you'll get rejected. That's a big one when it comes to sales, or when it comes to asking for a raise or what have you. And then get curious about it rather than judgmental about yourself. So I'm curious why I might get judged, or I'm curious why someone might think that that's stupid. And so that will actually give you the answer of what you should do. So that's incredibly important. Get curious rather than judgmental, and start practicing the things you have control over to make sure that that doesn't happen. So I hope that's helpful. Okay, so Leslie says, what are some steps you can do to gain control over your emotions on the day of an event or a test? Excellent question. remember I said you guys are like world-class athletes, not just that, but multi-sport athletes. I think about it. Think about this. Think about a downhill Olympic skier that's trained her entire life for something. Now she's in the chutes, getting ready for the bullhorn to go off. She's trained her entire life for this. What does she do? Let me share a couple things. I'm going to share 3 things what she does. The first thing that she does is she recognizes any feelings that she has. Remember, pushing emotions away doesn't work. It's like me saying, don't worry about the pink elephant in the room. You'll be like, looking like that. So recognize whatever emotion it is that you're feeling, whether it's worry, doubt, frustration, what have you. Then you need to release it. And usually people do that by inhaling in and exhaling out. And then when you exhale, you want to visualize you releasing it, physically releasing it back into the world. It doesn't mean that it's going away. It means that it's moving out of your way in that moment. So it can allow you to be your best. So recognize, release, and then you strategize. In other words, then you want to think about what's one thing I have control over right now to do my best. So if it's for a test, and this is what I've told kids over and over again, it might be like, okay, read every question thoroughly and make sure I understand it. Okay, if you're going into a presentation, make sure the data that I report is correct and I maintain eye contact with people. Take control of your event so your event doesn't take control of you. I hope that makes sense. All right, so I want to see, are there any other questions? I'm going to take a couple more. Sabrina says, slide says 30-minute session, but scheduled program is for 15 minutes. Am I on the wrong one? This could definitely be a glitch on our end. The session is for 30 minutes. We'll make sure that the link is correct. What's most important is that you grab one of those 20 spots, and we'll make sure that you get your 30 minutes, even if it says 15. So don't worry about that. All right, I'm going to take one more question. Thank you. I want to know who or when, wow, we have 3/4 of you are still on with me. Raise your hand if you're still here. I want to know who you are. It's like Heidi and Wendy and Dave and Lisa and Beth and Stephanie and Maria. Okay, awesome. I'm going to take one more question because I want to be very, very respectful of your time. Okay, Aisha from Toronto. I would say 70% of my clients right now are from Toronto. I'm not sure why that happened, but I have to get over to that neck of the woods because I keep hearing amazing things about that. Aisha from Toronto says, does age have anything to do with becoming mentally tough? Here is my response to that great question. Only if you allow it to. So I ran a half marathon a few months back. There was a woman 78 years old who, I didn't want to share this, but she beat me. But anyways, she was mentally tough. I went on a whale watching expedition. There was a woman there that was 88 years old. Her doctor said no. She was mentally tough because she decided that she was going to do it. She decided what shape she was going to get in, whatever. So absolutely not. Only if you allow it to. All right. I'm going a little over. I'm going to take one more question if you want to stay with me. It looks like there's about 3 or 4 spots left. So go ahead and grab those. They are disappearing. I'm seeing them disappear on my screen. If you want to stay with me, hang with me. I'm going to answer one more question. All right. Leslie says, what are some steps you can do to gain control over your emotions? Okay, on the day of event. We did that one. Let me answer one more. Now, I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name. That is spelled A-I-A-N-C-U. Ayansu. So I apologize if I mispronounce this, but let me answer your question. What if you don't know what you want or have an exact plan? You just want to succeed, whether opening your own company or having a corporate career. You know what? What I would say to you is to, like we've been talking about, commit to progress. So in other words, I will speak to 5 people a day who are in business for themselves and 5 people a day who are in corporate careers, who seem very happy and successful in what they're doing. And I will start gathering information from them. start having experiences, start talking to people, make progress, because the more that you can open your eyes to that, and the more information and ideas you can bring in, the better. And also, I would believe remember, it starts with believing. So in other words, think about every night before you go to bed and every day when you wake up, say to yourself, I'm in the process of finding my career of my dreams. I'm in the process of doing that, and start thinking about like, what kind of people, who would I be serving? What type of people would I be working with? Who would I be benefiting? And that type of thing. It'll take your vision from narrow. Narrow is, I'm never going to find something. I'm never going to find the right thing. So you're narrow. It's like walking through a field of beautiful flowers, looking down at your feet. Okay, so start believing that what you want is absolutely possible, and start painting a very vivid and visceral picture of what it might look like. I recommend you journaling about it, and then take control by start talking to people that are doing things that are interesting to you. So I hope that helps. And then, okay, one more. I'm taking one more for the last of you. God, there's still a lot of people here. Thank you for hanging in with me. What if you're very young and inexperienced? Then similar to my last question, it's great that you're young. There's jobs that are available now. They're going to be available in a couple years that didn't even exist a few years ago. So the world is your oyster. Start making progress. Start meeting people. I highly recommend that you find a mentor. All right, I really want to be respectful of your time. We have spilled over. We're almost at capacity on these 30-minute sessions to fill up these last remaining 30-minute sessions for the groups. I just filled a couple groups, and I'm opening one more for individuals, one more for corporate, and I have 3 spots for my individual coaching. I am filled with joy, and I am so looking forward to speaking with you. If I can make this content real and serve you in any way, go ahead and grab those last remaining spots. I'm seeing people come in that says, yes, that's me, I want one. That's awesome, but I need you to go to www.sherylkline.com/discovery and sign up for those to make sure that you get it. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I have immense gratitude. If no one has told you today that they believe in you, I absolutely do. Consistency wins. You need to believe in yourself. Please grab these tools I'm going to send you. I'm here for you. I'm cheering you on along the way. I look forward to you staying in touch with me, to your continued success. Here's to you being amazing. I look forward to hopefully seeing you in one way or another sometime soon. Thanks so much.